Good evening, everybody. I'd like to start tonight with reading my text out of Ephesians 5, verses 22 through 31. This will be my sermon that I plan on giving for the class. And tonight I'd like to read the whole text and then come back to verse 22 and speak a few things about that verse. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is head of the church. He is the Savior of the body, now as the church submits to Christ. So wives should submit to your husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as also Christ loved the church, and gave himself for her, to make her holy, cleansing her in the washing of water by the word. He did this to present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but holy and blameless. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hates his own flesh, but provides and cares for it, just as Christ does for the church, since we are members of his body. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Now, in verse 22, can kind of cause a little uproar for some people in the word that Paul chose to use, and that word is submit. I know for my wife, this isn't one of her favorite verses because she doesn't like the idea of submitting to me. But I try to tell her that that's not what Paul meant. What Paul meant by using the word submit is that the woman should love her husband and give her full trust in her husband, that when he leaves for work every day, anything that he does for the family's interests are put first. And what Paul also implies here is that Christ doesn't want a wife to submit to a husband that tries to oppress her. She's supposed to submit to a husband that loves her, that cherishes her, and honors her, and they share the load of the marriage. It also means that they're putting their faith in her husband for the family's best interest. Now, to that I can speak because in 2009 I just decided I was going to try to join the Navy. And it was a decision that both my wife and I made that came with a lot of decision making to decide if that was really what we wanted to do at the time. At the time I was working at Walmart, and everybody knows Walmart insurance is not decent and the pay isn't decent. And it was at a time when insurance at Walmart was going to be raised to almost half your paycheck every 2 weeks. So, and at that time we had our son and our daughter. My son was 2, my daughter was 8, and our daughter was sick most of her younger life, so Walmart insurance really hadn't paid off at that point for us. And things were starting to look like it was going to be the same for our son. So I had attended a 4-year Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps high school, and when I graduated, I received a advanced pay grade to E3 in the military, and it was good for my lifetime. So at this time, when Walmart was going through their, I'm going to say, insurance crisis, that's when I decided that I thought that might be the better way, because I knew the military insurance was much better, the pay was much better, and it would also kind of give us an opportunity to see the world. So I came home one night after talking to a recruiter and told my wife what the recruiter had said, and at first she wasn't very receptive to the idea, but after talking with her further, and even the recruiter talking with her, we decided, she came up to me one day and said that if I thought that that's what was best for our family, then she would support me in everything that I needed to do to succeed. So we both began preparations for me to start working out more, getting within the Navy height weight standards, and it was just a 2-year process for me. And a lot of times I decided to give up, but my wife was the one behind me, pushing me, saying that this is what I decided I was going to do. We were going to go through it, and we were going to do it. So In 2010, I finally got to that point. I signed my Navy contract. I headed off to boot camp. Completed boot camp, completed my A school, got my orders to go to Norfolk. Now, the Norfolk thing, I was kind of afraid to tell my wife because she said she didn't want to go to Norfolk. So this was another kind of bump in the road for us, but we overcame it. We moved the family to Norfolk. The family experienced many good things out of Norfolk. We experienced the true life of the Navy, a deployment, underways. My kids got to understand the lifestyle of the military. My wife became a very successful military wife. So with that, as you can see, that she didn't submit or obey my every command, but she was very supportive indeed of everything that I did or attempted to do for the family. So that is what Paul meant by using the word submit. Wasn't to obey to her husband's every command, but to love and trust him that he had the family's interest at heart. Thank you.